All right, let's talk about the Titanic. We all know the story, right? This magnificent, unsinkable ship, a legend lost to an iceberg on its very first voyage. But what if I told you that story, the one we've seen in movies, the one we've read in history books, might just be one of the biggest lies ever told? Because there's a much, much darker theory lurking just beneath the surface. So, this is the question at the very heart of it all. It's a bold, almost unbelievable accusation that tries to rewrite history. For over a century, this persistent theory has claimed that the ship lying at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean isn't the Titanic at all.
Okay, first, let's just run through the story we all know. The brand new RMS Titanic, the biggest ship ever built, this total marvel of engineering, sets sail from Southampton on its maiden journey. 4 days out, bam, it hits an iceberg and sinks, taking over 1,500 people with it. A horrible, tragic, but pretty straightforward accident. Or was it?
Now, let's pull back the curtain and look at the conspiracy. The folks who believe this theory argue that the sinking was no accident. They say it was a deliberate, cold-blooded plot. They believe the official story is just an elaborate cover-up for what could be one of the greatest insurance frauds in history. So here's the core of it, the Titanic Switch Theory. The idea is that the company took their older, badly damaged ship, the Olympic, slapped some new paint on it, called it the Titanic, and then intentionally sent it out to sink so they could collect the huge insurance money on a brand new vessel. A pretty shocking claim, to say the least. But why? Why would they ever do something so monstrous? Well, it all comes down to money. White Star Line was in some serious financial trouble. Their other giant ship, the Olympic, had been in a collision and was basically a financial write-off. The insurance company said, nope, not paying, and the repair bill was big enough to bankrupt them. So the theory goes, sinking the broken ship under the name of its shiny new sister was the perfect, diabolical solution to their money problems. Okay, so you've got a massive motive right there. But what about proof? Let's dive into the evidence the theorists bring to the table. And you can see how this case starts to build. And this is where the story gets really compelling. So one of the biggest pieces of evidence, something you can see with your own eyes, comes down to the portholes. The official blueprints for the Titanic show it had 14 portholes on sea deck. Simple enough. But photos of the ship leaving the dock on its fateful voyage clearly show 16 portholes. And which ship had 16 portholes? You guessed it. Its older sister, the Olympic. And it doesn't stop there. Survivors reported that the ship had this slight but noticeable permanent lean to the left side. Now, a brand new ship shouldn't be doing that, but it did have a persistent lean to port, the damaged Olympic, a lingering scar from its big collision. Then you get to what some people think is the biggest smoking gun of all, the cancellations. J.P. Morgan himself, the tycoon who owned the entire shipping line, canceled his ticket right before the voyage. Milton Hershey, the chocolate guy, an associate of Morgan, he canceled too. And so did dozens of other wealthy, powerful people connected to them. Coincidence? Or did the people at the very top know this ship was never, ever supposed to make it to New York? Okay, that is a powerful case. I mean, it sounds pretty convincing, right? But hold on. Because decades after the sinking, when explorers finally found the wreck at the bottom of the ocean, the ship itself started to talk. And it told a very, very different story. Let's pivot now to the hard physical evidence that historians use to debunk this entire theory. And really, it all comes down to this one number, 3 digits, found 2.5 miles down in the freezing black abyss of the Atlantic. This number, this is probably the single most powerful argument against the entire switch theory. You see, every major part of a ship built at that yardship was given a serial number. The Olympic's serial number was 400. The Titanic's? 401. And guess what number they found stamped all over the key components recovered from the wreck? The propellers, turbines, you name it? 401. It's like the ship's DNA, and it screams Titanic. And then there's just the sheer practical reality of it all. Think about it. We're talking about swapping the identities of 2 of the largest moving objects on the planet. This wasn't something you could do over a weekend. It would have taken thousands of workers, weeks, probably months, in a very public dry dock. Historians say a secret that big, it's literally impossible to keep. So, where does that leave us? On one side, you've got a really compelling story of suspicious last-minute changes, weird photographic evidence, and a powerful, greedy motive.
But on the other side, you've got hard, physical, scientific evidence from the wreck itself, and a logistical mountain that seems absolutely impossible to climb.
Let's just put it all side by side. The theorist hit you with the wrong number of portholes, those super suspicious cancellations, and the ship's strange lean. But the historians fire back with the ship's confirmed serial number, 401, the logistical nightmare of the Switch, and the fact that all the parts they find match Titanic's records, not the Olympics.
So why? Why does this theory just refuse to die, even with all this scientific evidence? Well, it's because it gives us a villain. It turns a random, senseless tragedy into a story about powerful, greedy men. It taps into that dark question we all sometimes wonder about. Could corporate greed really be so monstrous that it would sacrifice over 1,500 human lives for an insurance check?
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? The evidence from the deep seems to say one thing, but the legend of the Switch just keeps captivating us. It really makes you ask, when we tell the story of our past, what holds more power over us? A documented fact or a story that deep down just refuses to die?